terms of there is some project work in the 7-year capital plan around the HVAC system. At this point in time, there's no project on the books around additional natural light. We've studied the issue of natural light at Peabody, even to carve out if you're facing the
Chris, I don't think everybody can hear you. You might need to come to the mic. I'm sorry.
Cost to add some additional windows on that on those two facades, and you're into pretty significant dollars. It was over $10 million just to add some natural light to those two facades. What you run into at Peabody is as soon as you puncture the fabric of that building, you start having to do additional work and adding capacity because the HVAC system isn't built to handle additional openings into the facade. And then that in turn entails additional electrical capacity. We're pretty much at the, you need anything else you add at Peabody, you need more additional electrical capacity. So you end up spending a lot of money on things that nobody can see to add just a little bit of natural light.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Excuse me, Peabody?
So the closure of Peabody is one of those resolutions, and we are simply reaffirming the timeline that the board put forth for the movement of the Obama ISA program into Peabody, where they said that the new site would be the home of the IB school beginning in 12-13.
Grades 6 to 12 with space for both high school and middle school teams.
So the answer to that question is really simple. And the paradigm that is a problem is the problem of merging two schools into one without a conversation. And so what happened at Pittsburgh Reisenstein with respect to the use of the facilities were two adults trying to figure out two schools trying to figure out how to use the same gyms. So there was not a conversation amongst the adults. Imagine this at Pittsburgh Brashear several years ago, where South Hills exists and Brashear High School exists. They were having the exact same conversation even though they had two gyms. So this is not about facilities, it's about a conversation with adults to meet the needs of all the kids in the building. Because once the conversation took place at Pittsburgh Brashear, the issue was resolved. Similarly here, the Young Men's Academy, Young Women's Academy will work together to develop a schedule of how athletics are done in the building. This is not rocket science. It really is about folk talking about a schedule so that the needs of the youngsters are met in their sports. We have state-of-the-art facilities here. We have a state-of-the-art weight room. We have a state-of-the-art recreation room. We have a very nice gym. We have a lot of things and amenities in this building we want to utilize for all of our kids, so none of our kids are shortchanged. So it is a conversation between the administrators of the buildings that will make that happen.
Next question, and to address part of it, I promise you I read what I was given.
Oh, okay. Thanks.
My online question was not asked as posted. So the answer of sports in 6 to 12 is based upon principals' communications?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, and more.
6 basketball teams do not fit in one gym! Exclamation point. Certain people who are principals of current 6 to 12s, who I will not name, just because of my own preference. They are written here, but I'd rather not name people. But certain principals do not communicate. And just to note, these people's boss is about to get handed a piece of paper, so it is being communicated.
That's a question mark.
So the issue is 6 basketball teams and 1 gym.
Yeah.
So at Berkeley High School, where I was principal, we had a 9th grade squad, a JV squad, and a varsity squad for males and females, and 1 gym. We worked out the schedule, and it made sense, and everyone was able to practice in the time that they needed. The point is that it can work. The problem is that we did not work to do it well.
Just
The way pretty drastically with the opening of the K-8s in 2005 and the 6 to 12 model and 6-12 models that were began to be open in 2008-9 and last year 2009-10. The comprehensive middle school and every piece of research that talks about this talks about the comprehensive middle schools as this limbo for children where they don't see an end and they don't see where they're going. And so the 6-12 model is born out of the continuity of programming model that we should be fostering in all of our schools. So the K-8 is the continuity model, bringing K to 8th grade so that the adults in the building own and respect and respond to those children and families for 9 years. You can't say, I don't know this child if they've been with you for 9 years. Similarly, what happens in high schools when they get to the 9th grade is that teachers say, oh, they should have taught them that in middle school. That's what they always say. So we're dealing with that issue. No, your colleague down the hall that you need to deal with should have taught them that last year, or we should have continuity of programming 6 to 12. You meet kids where they are and you give them a known endpoint, which is the Pittsburgh Promise. That's what the 6 to 12 model does, and it's really akin to the same philosophy around K to 8.
So the whole district is going 6 to 12 children?
I'm sorry.
You know what this is, a community meeting, technically.
So the second question was, how will the new curriculum foster conflict resolution to help these communities, which will come together, strive a new standard of academic excellence instead of wrapping their hood? So it is about making sure that the adults and the youngsters in the building have conversations about where and what is important. One of the biggest issues that we talked about in the programs that I've been dealing with at OBB, talking with the kids the last 2 weeks, and talking with the kids in the AMP program, is that the square of land that you seek to rep, you don't own it anyway. So I don't understand what that's about. And one of the conversations that the kids had was, well, that's the only thing we got. We don't have anything else. That's what a youngster said. And so we as the adults have to really get into their heads and listen to what they're saying, as opposed to simply telling them what to do. We tell them too much and don't listen enough and help them to make different choices. And so we've literally been talking about how, truthfully, you actually have a mindset that is enslaving you on your block. So they may have taken the chains away, but they're telling you that you own something that you don't even own. And so the world actually is what you own. And we are having those conversations and helping youngsters see that choice as opposed to seeing the other choice, which is deleterious to their health and well-being every single day.